Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. Today's guest is Dr. Vikram Raya, and he's the founder and CEO of Limitless MD. He's also the CEO of Viking Capital, and he's going to talk to us all about how his work is embodying 5 different freedoms. Vic, welcome.
Chris, I'm so excited to be on the podcast, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I know we had, it was great. I was on yours and now you're on mine. So tell the audience your story. You're a cardiologist. You're very well known, clinically renowned, and now you're doing other things, helping others. So tell people your story and how you're embodying these 5 freedoms that we talked about.
Yeah, when we start our medical journey, a lot of physicians are like, blinders on, so super laser focus, and let's just get to that next step. And for us, if just to reiterate, it's undergrad to medical school. It was a very defined journey. Medical school to residency, fellowship, right? Defined journey. Then it's fellowship to maybe your first job, pretty defined, but a little bit of variation, but pretty defined. Then the question is, all right, I bought the doctor car, I bought the doctor house, and my kids are in private school. Now what? And for now what, for most people is, let me just chill and stay on this linear trajectory of comfort. And there's some frustrations. And if you're not sure if there's frustrations as a physician, just go to your local doctor's lounge and see the conversations that are to be had there. They're talking about RVUs. They're talking about insurance companies cutting this or that. They're talking about the nasty patient. They're talking about the excess of consults. They're talking about all the bureaucracy and paperwork, and they have to do notes at home. And then they're talking about the restrictions and how much free time they have, or are they missing their kids' practice or missing their son's basketball game or whatever. And then they're making decent money, but they don't feel wealthy. They don't feel rich. And then they feel constrained. And then a lot of people throw on the handcuffed model, right? These golden handcuffs, diamond handcuffs, if you will, whatever handcuffs you want, but they're still handcuffs. And so I was of the same vein, and I just unplugged from the matrix and I woke up and I was realizing there's a different way. And that's when I came across a couple of important distinctions of a linear MD and a limitless MD.
Yeah, I love that. I love this idea of limitless because you're talking about you've already achieved some sort of success, but now you're talking about the next level and helping people, impacting. A lot of doctors, they listen to this and they're like, okay, I'm pretty set. I'm comfortable. I make $500K a year. I live in a good neighborhood. I'm doing meaningful work. Why should I go limitless? Why can't I work for all of this? What is your response?
Yeah. If you're asking that question, you're probably not right yet. You're not ready yet. And the reason is you have to have a level. And I'm not saying it because I'm challenging these people. I'm not saying it because I'm trying to be smart or anything. I'm just saying you have to hit what do I call threshold, a level of frustration that few people in the world can understand. The reason is you have everything. You hit your goals. Your mom and dad are so proud of you. You're a physician. Your kids dress well. They're not nerds in the class. You get to drive nice cars. You take good vacations. You have a nice house. What more do you want? Why are you being selfish? And my answer to that is, I'm not being selfish, but am I being fully utilized in my life? Am I fully unfolding all my greatness, my epic possibilities, my legendary strengths? And to be honest with you, at some point, things become autopilot, routine, habit, and this comfort kills you inside slowly. It's not a fast kill, it's a slow kill. And many physicians feel that in their late 30s and early 40s. And if you haven't felt this, then thank God that you're in the right space and keep doing what you're doing. But if you have felt it, don't deny it. Lean into this discomfort, because discomfort creates drive, it creates change, it creates possibilities, and it forces you to look out of what's going on and inward and outward. And so the thoughts that I had when I hit that wall was, I'm a cardiologist, I'm doing well, I'm having all these things, but there's a ceiling on my income. There's also, I had to beg for vacations. I had to get coverage. I'm a grown man, 40-year-old man begging to take 2 weeks off a year. I help my group create so many different avenues of income, but I don't get a piece of any of that.
Mm.
I want to practice medicine the way I want. I'm tired of just pills and things. I want to try to do something integrative, something functional, something wellness oriented, but that's not the paradigm that my current practice is in. I want to start investing in real estate, but I don't know how, and I don't even have time to do that. And I'm also worried about the stigma of being not just like going beyond cardiology, because everyone knows me as a cardiologist. What if I leave or I do something different? There's a stigma that a lot of physicians place. What if my patients don't want to come and see me because this doctor's not serious, he's doing something else. And so
Mm.
there's all this languaging. And then my mom, who it was her dream for me to become a physician and for me to walk away from an Asian parenting dream to become an Asian parenting nightmare. That was something you have to rethink, right? So these are the things that were going in my mind. But here's what drove me. I want to be there for my kids. I don't want to be absentee dad. And to be honest with you, to be a really good physician, there's an edge of absenteeism that a physician has to do to their children. Number two, I want to have no limits on my income. I want to earn 7 figures, 8 figures if I want to. I want to write a huge check to charity and not even feel it. I want to learn all the strategies to reverse disease instead of just manage it. I want to be around inspiring people versus pessimistic people. And so what I started doing was I started developing these freedoms in my mind. So one was financial freedom and time freedom, which is the number 1 and 2 thing that every physician who comes to me and wants to get coached or trained. And I'm sure, Chris, when you were branching out and doing your things, time and money is what everyone wants. That's great. But guess what? There's 3 other ones. Imagine having the ability to work from Dubai, Estonia, Latvia, South America, anywhere in the world you want. Number 2, imagine having this bulletproof, resilient mindset. I don't care what happens to the economy, who becomes president of the United States, what happens with insurance companies. I can handle it. If someone in my family becomes ill, my children have issues, I have the resilient mindset to go after it and help them. And then finally, I want to be healthy. And many doctors are the worst patients. They're obese, they are overweight, they have low energy, they're losing their hair. Like the list goes on, like low sex drive, their skin is starting to age, and they don't have vitality. And when they come home, they're tired. And so I'm like, the Dalai Lama has a great phrase. He goes, we spent the first half of our life sacrificing our health for wealth. And then the second half of our life, we have to sacrifice our wealth just to regain our health again. So when I saw this, I'm like, okay, I want the 5 freedoms. I want time, I want money, I want mindset, I want location, and I want vitality. And then I want to do things on my terms. So what I came up with is a hell yes versus hell no mentality. So if things are a hell yes, I do it. If they're not, then I walk away, because I want to be fully into whatever I'm doing. And the final thing I believe is whatever I touch turns to gold, but I have to touch it long enough. So those are the 3 founding philosophies of what I think could make someone become a limitless MD.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much to unpack and unravel there, because you talk about these 5 areas, and essentially a lot of it's more meaning and more contribution and helping, as opposed to a lot of we struggle and we hoard and we're struggling to survive, and everything is about, but now you're talking about giving and reciprocating and having options. So that's when people hear that, they're like, oh, okay, now that makes more sense. 500K, but I can't take vacation and my kids hate me, and versus. So the other question I have is, there's always this dichotomy with the physician group, is this idea where you have your golden handcuffs. Some people, they love it, but then there's a segment where it's okay, if something happens, the economy or president, I lose my job or whatever, there are a lot of people depending on that. So how do you distinguish this dichotomy between high income job versus financial freedom, financial independence, and the work that you're doing with physicians to help them reconcile that?
Yeah. One, I just ended up marrying a doctor, just in case. No, I did marry a doctor. So my wife's amazing. She's a rheumatologist, and she loves what she does. But the cool thing is, because we've done what we've done and we've provided options, we've created multiple passive streams of income. I think I have, 40 passive income streams right now. And what that does is it allows my wife then to work on her terms. So she's a rheumatology hospitalist. She loves what she does. She's like the guy, the sort of the Einstein of the hospital, where they can't figure a case out, they call her and she comes in and she puts it all together. But she gets to work 2.5 days a week now. And it's amazing. And she gets to spend time with the kids, and it's all that. So the goal, guys, is optionality. If you have optionality, you have happiness. And another reason why you would have happiness is progress. If you're making progress on all the categories of your life, you feel happy as well. And I would say, let's use joy as our GPS. If you're truly happy, you don't need to change a thing. Just learn from Chris and learn about all these different things. But if there's any discontent, or there's a frustration, or there's something that's not the same level of what you want at this, and here's a formula for happiness. Your blueprint equals your life conditions. And so if you get to the point where, your life conditions are different than the blueprint you had in your mind, that's called suffering or unhappiness. But if your life conditions are greater than your blueprint, then you're like overjoyed. And so what I'm asking is, look inside and find out, what is the blueprint you expected at this stage of your life that would wanted. And as long as your life conditions are not there, there's a gap. And that's where, and be excited about the gap, because you had a gap, Chris, and that's what forced you to create all these amazing things and learn all these strategies and help all these people. Same thing with me. These gaps help us drive us forward. And back to your point of, how do you play it safe as a physician but still pursue your dreams? And I'm not a risk taker. I mitigate all risk. And so what I do is, I always believe in asymmetric risk reward. And for those of you guys who listen to Chris's podcast, he talks about that a lot, where for every dollar we risk, we want to make $100 back. And yes, I'm a cardiologist. Pretty good job. I could get a job anywhere in the country, and it's a strong income stream. But guess what? If I take a risk and do something outside of cardiology, there's several ways to do it. Either cut down 1 day a week and try to do 4 days and then do that, which is what I did. Then I went down to 3 days, and then I did something else. And then until I felt comfortable backing off completely. The other way is, look, take a risk for a year and have enough of a 6-month savings to take care of all your typical expenses, and take that risk. And worst case scenario, you will go back and become a cardiologist or oncologist or a nephrologist or whatever it is. Being a physician, you have a superpower that very few professions have. You're always employable, and you can make a mid 6-figure income for the rest of your life, no matter what.
Yeah, that's so well said. So let's shift from your core thesis into the work that you're doing. You created Limitless MD, you're speaking, you're coaching, and you have your CEO of Viking Capital. So tell how you created time freedom for yourself, location freedom, health freedom, and now you're giving back. So talk about that work.
I wanted to first figure out, hey, look, all my income is coming from medical W-2, which is great. But if something happens, if I choose to take time off, or I get disabled, something, I just didn't want all my eggs in one basket. So I learned real estate, started single family homes, quickly moved, because there's a concept called LGS, leverage, growth, and scale. But you need to figure out whatever you're doing, see if you can learn to scale it, because the more people you help, the more value you add, obviously, the more returns you can get. So then I moved to multifamily. Yeah, instead of helping one family own a home or rent it from us, let me help a community, right? 200 families, right? So when you buy a 200 unit property, you're helping 200 families. So I thought differently. Instead of, how much do I make for my 200 doors I'm buying? I don't call it doors. I call it 200 families. And so that was interesting. Next is, how many investors can I help double their wealth? And so now, I'm surrounded by an interesting group of people. You may know them, guys, listening to the podcast. They're a group of people who are highly smart, highly intelligent, but sometimes their financial IQ may not be as robust as their intellectual IQ. They're also known as doctors, right? And so I was one of them. So I had to learn a ton. I had to understand all these things. And then when I started doing it, I was like, hey, anyone else interested? And one thing led to another. And now we're one of the most respected, I think, physician investment firms out there. We're for doctors by doctors, if you will. And myself and my partner, Ravi, we're both physicians, and we're trying to help create financial freedom for physicians all over the country. And it's amazing because we're one of the few firms that really educate first. We're like, hey, don't even invest with us. Learn, go through our courses, go through our knowledge, make sure this makes sense for you. And even if it's someone else's deal, run it by us. We can give you the pros and cons. Because as Kiyosaki says, it's not the investment that's risky, it's the investor. And it's due to lack of education. And we did a great job with our medical education. Financial education, not so much. And so that's why we as physicians have to take it upon ourselves to learn. And so now we have these multifamily opportunities where we do something called syndications, where we raise capital from a group of people. We put our own money, and we buy these apartments, and it's a very simple concept because I can explain it to my 10-year-old, and that's why I know I can wrap my head around it, so I feel comfortable. If you don't understand something, please do not ever invest in it. Okay, that's a Warren Buffett rule, number one. So all we do is buy these apartment complexes that are already cash flowing. We infuse capital, we have a business plan, and we do what we call forced appreciation. The property goes up in value. On top of that, we buy in good areas of the country where there's already a natural trend of more people moving in, jobs, growth. And so that's called organic appreciation. So between forced, us doing the business plan, organic, we really achieve a good return. So you can expect a 1.8 to 2x multiple on your money. And for a lot of physicians out there, they're also looking for the tax benefits. So that makes sense. And then during the pandemic, I came across another thing, Chris. I was like, so many people were like, actually, for the first time, their medical situation was getting challenged. And this has never happened before, right? Surgical centers were closed. People who were doing surgeries, optional, like elective surgeries or elective procedures, where they were not having the volume. And it was the first time where physicians said, hey, my job is not as safe as I thought it was, right? And so I started getting approached. Hey, can you help me? I noticed you're doing a lot of things outside of medicine. What's going on? So I was on the phone for hours and hours just helping people. And then someone told me, hey, dude, when did you start coaching? I'm like, what? I'm like, what you're doing is coaching, right? I was like, I guess. I was just trying to help people, man. And so this mentorship and coaching came just out of accident. And there's two concepts, Chris, that I love to share with the listeners. If something is easy and lucrative and fun, which I call ELF, easy, lucrative, and fun, you got to lean into it because it's why you're here on this earth. It's your ikigai, right? You're probably good at it. You have a skill set for it. The world needs it and you can get paid for it, right? Those are the four concepts of ikigai, or the Japanese concept of your reason for being. And so that's when things are effortless. And then when things are hard, like you're doing something that's not in your skill set, you're not that interested in it, you're not willing to spend the time, energy, perhaps the world doesn't need it, and you may not get paid for it. That's called hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating. Okay. So I leaned into the coaching because it was just almost easy and effortless. The real estate became easy and effortless. And then the medical stuff, I loved what I was doing, but I remembered it didn't give me all five of my freedoms because I was physically stuck in a location, in a clinic. I couldn't go travel. I couldn't speak at conferences. I couldn't do whatever I wanted. And now, knock on wood, we've been able to, Chris, for the last couple of years, I've been spending a month every year in a different country with my family.
Nice.
And so this is the power of achieving these freedoms.
Yeah. We're coming to the end. So, what are some resources, YouTube channels, podcasts, books that you would recommend, and how can people contact you, follow you, or reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is vikramraya.com. And it's a good place to reach out to me. And if I have a ton of free resources on my website there. And I have a podcast called the Limitless MD podcast, which, Chris, you're one of the top guests on. So congratulations. And then I also have a YouTube channel, and it's just my name, Vikram Raya, on YouTube. And again, my goal is to provide a ton of free content, a ton of free value. And if you're interested in learning more, just please reach out to us. But guys, all I'm asking is this year, decide, how do you want to transition from becoming a linear MD to becoming a limitless one?
Yeah. Excellent conversation. I really love this idea of wanting more and just contributing more, and you have the tools and resources. It just takes that shift. Be sure to check out Vic's resources. They'll be in the links and show notes. And thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thanks, Chris.